You're on the hunt for a handheld computer that won't quit on you halfway through a shift, that feels like an extension of your workflow instead of a clunky add-on, and that actually justifies the price tag you're about to spend. I get that feeling standing in a warehouse, a hospital ward, or a field service truck. You need something you can rely on, not a shiny gadget that looks great on the spec sheet but falls apart the first time you drop it or hit a dusty aisle. The biggest fear is ending up with a device that either drags your data entry down or needs a repair shop every other week, and that's why I spent a few days digging through forums, talking to a couple of fleet managers, and watching a handful of real-world demos before I hit record. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Honeywell CT47 X0N 58D100G is positioned as an enterprise-grade handheld, and the first thing I asked myself was, does that label translate into day-to-day reliability for someone who's not a tech geek but needs the tool to stay out of the way while they do their job? The answer, in a nutshell, is yes for a specific slice of the market, but there are a few trade-offs that can make it feel overkill for others. Let's start with the environment it's built for. The CT47 is rated IP66, meaning it can handle a good splash of water, dust, and even a tumble from a typical workbench height without a hiccup. If you've ever had a barcode scanner die after a spill of coffee or a dusty construction site, you'll know why that matters. In practice, I saw a fleet manager in a logistics firm run the unit through a quick rain test by spraying it with a hose no smoke. No error messages, just a quick reboot and it was back online. That kind of resilience is what keeps inventory counts moving during a storm or a sudden downpour on a loading dock. The scanning engine is Honeywell's N6803 FlexRange, which claims to read both 1D and 2D barcodes from a range of distances. In the field, the biggest nuisance is having to hover the scanner awkwardly to get a read, especially when you're holding a clipboard or a pallet jack. During my Hansen, the device caught a 1D code from about 3 feet away and a QR code from just a few inches with the same smooth motion. For a warehouse picking operation where each second counts, that little boost in flexibility can shave a noticeable amount of time off a shift. Now, connectivity. The built-in Wi-Fi 6E promises higher throughput and lower latency than the older 5 GHz bands, which is useful if you're streaming video for a remote assistance session or uploading large data packets from a field service vehicle. In a test in a busy office with multiple access points, the CT47 held a steady connection without the dropouts that some older handhelds suffer when you walk through a metal rack. That said, the benefit only shines if your IT infrastructure already supports Wi-Fi 6E. Otherwise, you'll be rolling over to a standard 5 GHz network and the extra speed won't be noticeable. So the real value here is for organizations that are already investing in the newer Wi-Fi standards. The screen is a 5-inch full-touch display, which might sound small compared to a tablet, but it's actually a sweet spot for a handheld you need to operate with one hand. The touch responsiveness is decent, and the brightness level adjusts automatically when you move from a dim office to bright outdoor lighting. I tried entering a short note on the screen while wearing gloves, something many workers do on the floor, and the device registered the input without a hitch. The front-facing camera, while not a primary feature, can be handy for quick visual documentation. I saw a maintenance tech snap a photo of a faulty valve and attach it directly to a work order, cutting down on paperwork. On the downside, the unit runs on a fairly standard Android skin, and while that's good for app compatibility, the startup time can be a touch slower than some competitors that have stripped down operating systems. In a high-tempo environment where you're flipping the device on and off between tasks, those extra few seconds add up. Also, the battery life is listed at around 8 hours of mixed use, which aligns with the spec sheet, but in a real-world shift that includes continuous scanning and Wi-Fi streaming, you'll be looking at the lower end of that range. For a 12-hour shift, you'll either need to carry a spare battery or find a quick charging point. So, who should actually consider the CT47? If you manage a warehouse, a delivery fleet, a hospital supply chain, or any field service team that relies heavily on barcode scanning, needs a device that can survive drops and splashes, and already has a Wi-Fi 6E network in place, this handheld is a solid investment. Its durability means fewer replacement cycles, and the FlexRange scanner reduces the need for multiple devices. One can read everything from tiny product codes to larger QR tags.